How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. And this week, we are going to be doing another one of our rebooks. Specifically, we're going to be doing another one of our bad rebooks. That was fun last time we did it, and we decided to do it again here. In this case, I looked up, Leonard, a list of some of the best WWE pay-per-views of all time, and this one came across. It was in the top 10.
Okay.
So, specifically, we are going to be doing a bad rebook of Survivor Series 2002. So, let's go over the event itself. It was the 16th annual Survivor Series, and it took place November 17th, 2002, from Madison Square Garden in New York City. Attendance was 17,930. Buy rate was 340,000, and this was a promotion that included at the time. This was both the Raw and the SmackDown brands. The theme song was "Always" by Saliva. They performed that, and along with Chris Jericho's entrance music from WWE The World at the time, if you remember that, Leonard.
Yes, and I do actually like their the Walls of Jericho song that they do for him. I actually always like that song.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So let's go over what happened in the original card here. The Sunday Night Heat match was the Un-Americans of Lance Storm and William Regal defeating Goldust and the Hurricane in 3 minutes and 1 second. The opening match on the card was an elimination tables match. Jeff Hardy and the Dudley Boys, specifically Bubba Ray and Spike, defeating 3-minute warning of Rosie and Jamal and Rico in 13 minutes and 55 seconds. Billy Kidman defeated Jamie Noble with Nydia for the Cruiserweight Championship. 7 minutes, 28 seconds. Victoria defeated Trish Stratus by pinfall in a hardcore match for the WWE Women's Championship in 7 minutes. Big Show defeated Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman by pinfall, 4 minutes and 18 seconds for the WWE Championship. Los Guerreros defeated Edge and Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit in a triple threat elimination match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. 19 minutes, 23 seconds. And the main event, the Elimination Chamber match, 39 minutes, 20 seconds. Shawn Michaels defeated Triple H, Chris Jericho, Kane, Booker T, and Rob Van Dam. So, Leonard, why don't you share your thoughts on this?
Sure. So I was watching the product regularly at the time, but I wasn't getting the pay-per-view. So I don't know if I had ever watched this before, but in preparation, I did rewatch the show on the network or on the Peacock sub-network. And I really enjoyed it. The only match I didn't like was Big Show versus Brock Lesnar because the Heyman turn, they tried to set that up, still doesn't work, wasn't much of a match. But even some of the more slight stuff like the women's match and the opening tables match were fun at the very least, very engaging. The cruiserweight match for just being 7 minutes packed in a lot. The tag match, of course, was great. And the Elimination Chamber itself, seeing what the original structure looked like and them working the kinks out of the system, looking up some background. This did not go to plan at all. Triple H gets injured early on by Rob Van Dam. Kane comes out early. His pot opens before Michaels. Michaels winning was actually called on the fly, I believe, by Hunter. But you wouldn't know it by watching it. So it's historic for that way, and it's interesting to see what the Chamber has become from here. But I surprisingly enjoyed this. When you gave me this one, I was kind of like, oh, okay. But then watching it, I do see where, at the very least, it's extremely fun.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the list, I didn't expect to see this pay-per-view on it. But I also think that this is memorable for, a couple reasons that aren't match quality necessarily. You have the big turn. You mentioned Heyman turning on Brock Lesnar. And, yeah, I'm don't really think that was, like, the best way to go about that. I understand they wanted to make Lesnar a face. But it was the way that it was done was kind of weird, and like you said, it wasn't much of a match. But the pay per view itself was obviously pretty solid overall. The triple threat tag team match. I mean, those three teams at the time could do no wrong. They had just stellar matches all around. Anytime any combination of those guys got together, it was pretty great.
Was that the SmackDown 6 that they referred to, or was that a different?
No, I think that's it.
Those six guys.
Yeah, SmackDown was like really, really good at that time. You were seeing really interesting combinations of matches that were really engaging. And they've done podcasts all about that time and how it was kind of changed after that. But yeah, and then the Elimination Chamber match is obviously memorable because Shawn Michaels had just come back at SummerSlam, and here he is winning the world title. So that was obviously a big moment. I had forgotten about the Triple H injury, but I know the clip in my head. Yeah, obviously the first Chamber match is probably the best. I don't know that we've ever ranked them, but I would probably say that was the best. And you look back on it kind of fondly because it was obviously such a brutal structure inside and out. I mean, these guys were landing on this steel outside of the ring, which obviously was painful. So,
and I know that the newer structure was designed to be to have more room so they could do like stuff off the pods and such, but also be more forgiving. Because apparently a lot of guys just got banged. Everyone involved got banged up to a degree with this.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So let us know in the comments what you thought of the original pay-per-view. And we are going to move on here with our bad rebooks of this pay-per-view. So, Leonard, how many matches do you have again?
I have 8, including a dark match. I originally had 7, just like the original show, but I thought of something I wanted to add, so I have 8.
All right, so I'm going to let you go first then.
Sure.
Take her away.
And I should mention that from what you told me, we had to keep the Elimination Chamber, and we still had to have a WWF title match and a world title match.
That's correct. Yeah, we always have stipulations with this, and thank you for mentioning them. I had to keep the chamber match because that was promoted very heavily for this. So
yes, and I did try to keep a few other things, which we'll get to. But my dark match is a real throwaway. It's Rico versus Kung Fu Naki. Okay. These guys are just guilty pleasures of mine. I know Funaki would not be doing the Kung Fu character for a couple years yet from this point. He's doing it here now. Doesn't matter. These are two guys that I always just kind of like. They're fun. And I think this would actually probably be a decent match. That's why I made it a dark match. It's a match nobody would care about. And, Rico at this point had just turned a million Chuck and was with 3-minute warning now. And so, Rico is kind of getting the push. Rico can win. But this is just the match because I like those guys.
All right. Well, I understand. We'll see if I used either of those guys here
later. Right. And then for my opener, which I'm proud of. So I'm still keeping an elimination tables match. It is a 6-referee elimination tables match. So Charles Robinson, Nick Patrick, and Earl Hebner representing Raw versus Mike Chioda, Jimmy Corderas, and Brian Hebner representing SmackDown.
Wow.
And I think we all want to see Earl put his son through a table. That's the spot. So with Survivor Series around this period, there was always a SmackDown versus Raw like theme and a rivalry. So it's very easy to have the one group of referees claim that they're better than the other group, and they kind of get into it, and it leads to this match. Now, easily, the SmackDown guys are younger, faster, and stronger than the Raw guys. So
right.
I would have Chioda and Corderas in a logical world surviving and winning this. Because the idea is if all the referees are doing this match, you don't have a referee to do the match. So you need a match with no referee.
That sounds confusing and awful, which I suppose is the point.
It's what we're trying to do here.
Right. And you know what? It reminds me because they did have a one-on-one referee match at the Invasion pay-per-view. There was like a gazillion matches on the Invasion pay-per-view, and I'm pretty sure it was Nick Patrick versus Earl Hebner. It was something to
That
that.
would make sense because Nick would have been the senior referee for WCW and Earl would have been the senior referee for WWF.
Right. But this, sounds not great, especially to open your show, which is also awful. So, that would be a train wreck to see for sure. So I was going to almost move this pay-per-view to the Hammerstein Ballroom. But I was like, you know what? That might be overkill. But I did change the announcers.
Oh, okay. I didn't even look at that. I just left that as is.
The announcers are going to be Kevin Kelly and Al Snow. That is who's calling the pay-per-view.
Okay. When I looked at a roster, I saw that Snow was working on commentary, and I kind of forgot that. But he was doing Heat at the time, wasn't he?
Right. Yep. Well, he got promoted to calling Survivor Series here.
Good for him and Kevin Kelly.
So we're opening with our Elimination Chamber match. So
see, I still saved mine for the end.
This is promoted heavily by Eric Bischoff, who is the general manager of Raw. And, what's going to happen? Well, we're getting an Elimination Chamber match that is a number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team titles.
Okay.
So you have the Un-Americans of Lance Storm and William Regal, Goldust and the Hurricane, and 3-minute warning in the Elimination Chamber match. The first ever.
Are they? So they're all. So each single guy is in a separate pod.
Correct. And
because I'm picturing 2 guys in a pod. But
no, that would make too much sense.
Okay.
And whoever is the last man standing wins the number one contendership for their team. This would be probably not that exciting. Probably not what people were hoping to see for the first ever Elimination Chamber match.
No.
But that's why we're going to do it. And you know what? We're going to have Goldust and the Hurricane win this because
why not?
That team I didn't even realize was a thing. So
no, I don't believe outside the SmackDown dudes, the Raw tag division, I don't think was really great this time. We went 2 different directions with our Elimination Chambers, which you will see when I get there. But I don't think that these teams are necessarily bad teams, but I think putting them in that scenario, as you said, doesn't really make any sense and probably wouldn't really intrigue anybody. So what I would do is I would start with Rosie and Jamal so that they could, because I think they would just beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, they would fight each other. You know what? That would almost make more sense. You could have 2 tag team partners start against each other, beat the crap out of each other, and then gradually you just have each of the tag teams kind of forced to face one another.
Yeah.
Which is just going to confuse the crowd even more.
Yes. Why are you fighting? Like, you'll forget who's even with who. So next up, I have, this is the match I went back and added when I was kind of looking around what else was happening at the time. We have Kane versus Katie Vick.
Okay.
So the infamous Katie Vick segment was just about a month before this on Raw. And in order to shed himself of some of this stink and get some revenge, because he's not getting against Triple H, Kane is going to fight the Katie Vick mannequin that was in the coffin. If Kenny Omega can fight a blow-up doll, Kane can fight a mannequin. And, in the worst case scenario, you would want the mannequin to win. But most likely, Kane is just going to choke slam it so it blows apart.
I like that. And I'm really jealous I did not think about the Katie Vick thing because I totally would have incorporated that somehow into my card. But, that sounds ridiculous. But, if they had gone forward more with that storyline, who knows? Yeah.
They thankfully pulled the plug after. I think I've heard Bruce Pritchard talk about that. Like as it aired, they knew it was crap.
Right.
I think Bruce said most everyone knew it before, but you couldn't convince Vince of that.
Right. Yeah. Vince was the last holdout, I think.
Yeah.
All right. My second match is for the WWE Championship. And the champion is, of course, Brock Lesnar. And he will be facing Maven.
I love Maven. Have you watched Maven's podcast or his video clips on YouTube that he's got?
Maven is doing a lot these days to kind of educate people on the pro wrestling business and, hats off to him. Yes, I agree. His content today is very good. People were not as enthusiastic about Maven back then.
No.
But here's the thing. Heyman still turns with Maven.
So Maven is a Paul Heyman guy.
Yep, Maven's going to be a Paul Heyman guy. Nobody's going to understand why. And nobody's going to believe that Maven, even with a Heyman turn, could probably beat Brock Lesnar. But that's what you're going to have. Maven is your new WWE champion.
Hey, Maven eliminated The Undertaker from the Royal Rumble. Miracles never cease.
And you know what? You gotta stay on that momentum train, Leonard. And you know,
I just picture Maven throwing like a bunch of drop kicks that Brock Lesnar no sells until Heyman turns, and I still can't even picture what would even like a chair, like even Maven with a chair. I don't think like
that. No.
Yeah. I can't even with everything on his side, Maven beating Brock Lesnar. I don't see. So good as in bad booking for you. I went another way with this, which you will see in a little bit. So I like a lot of times when we do these rebooks, we kind of match up, and maybe we will later. But right now, we're kind of going in opposite directions.
In our last one, we had, didn't we have like basically the same main event with a different stipulation?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
Hogan against Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Given it. So anyway, so my next one is I have another 6-person tag match. Winner of the pinfall will become cruiserweight champion, no matter who it is. So I have Jamie Noble, Nydia, and Dawn Marie versus Billy Kidman, Tori Wilson, and Terry Runnels. So, like, as you'll see, I'm not using a lot of real wrestlers, and I thought I should use some real wrestlers. And you know, Kidman and Noble are two guys that if you brought them to today, I think they could fit in with their move sets and how they put stuff together. Was really great. But if I'm going to use them, I had to hang some weights around their necks to bring them down. So why not put the cruiserweight belt on the line in a multi-man match? Makes no sense. Nydia was with Noble at the time, of course. Tori Wilson, I don't think was on screen with Kidman at this time. She had been in the past, and of course they would eventually, get married. Right. And then Terry Runnels is just the worst chick on the roster as far as wrestler goes. To be part of this. And of course, Tori and Dawn Marie were feuding at the time over Dawn Marie's dad, Al Wilson, and they are shown in the crowd here for the real pay-per-view. So Nydia should win over Terry, and then Nydia becomes a cruiserweight champion instead of Jamie Noble, and that's a storyline you can definitely do something with.
Absolutely. This sounds ridiculous and all sorts of train wreck. But I like the idea of Nydia becoming the cruiserweight champion. And there's somebody that I would love to, make an appearance sometime down the road. I think that would be fun. But, I'm sure she's...
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing now. I don't know if I've ever seen her at, do any conventions or, anything like that.
Yeah, not much, if anything. But yeah, that, I did use the cruiserweights, but not in that way. I like that though, in terms of what it is. So my next match is a fatal 4-way lumberjack match for the cruiserweight championship.
Okay. I don't think I've seen a 4-way lumberjack match before.
Right. You haven't, and you probably don't want to. Billy Kidman versus Spanky versus Jamie Noble versus Crash Holly. So
remind me of Spanky is
Brian Kendrick.
Yes, I forgot. Yes, I knew I could see him in my head, but I couldn't pull the name out. Yeah.
Yep. And a fatal 4-way cruiserweight match on its own might not be that bad. Might be
I mean, you see them all. The TNA used to do them all the time with the X Division.
Right. Put them in a lumberjack match, however, and all of a sudden it becomes a cluster. What in the ring, because they can only do so much outside the ring, obviously. So just have a mass of bodies outside the ring. You have chaos and overcrowding inside the ring. I can't think of a worse way to use the cruiserweights than this. So, other than the way you did it, of course.
Yes. Because I just gave them weights around their necks where they couldn't be in the ring all the time. So here you're taking away like of course, you can still do dives to the outside, and all the dudes are standing around the ring. Did you have any thought to the cruiserweights or cruiser all of the lumberjacks cruiserweights as well.
No, that would make sense. I think this is just whoever's left.
Whoever isn't doing anything so they can get a
Right.
paycheck. All right, fine enough. Yeah, you're definitely limiting their ability to do some things. Because even running around the ring or going up top, there's still people.
Right.
There's too many people around. So next up, I have my WWE title match. Paul Heyman, representing Brock Lesnar by proxy, will defend the belt against Big Show with one arm tied behind his back.
Okay.
So Lesnar doesn't show up to the arena, and nobody knows why. And there's a little-known clause in the contract that demands Heyman has to defend the belt if Lesnar isn't there. So, Heyman tries to talk Big Show out of it, and that doesn't work. And he kind of goads him about, hey, you could probably beat me with an arm tied behind your back. And he's like, yeah, of course I could, and blah, blah, blah. And basically gets Big Show to agree to wrestle him with one arm tied behind his back. And as we get out to the ring, it's a finger poke of doom. Heyman still turns. And Show pins Heyman to win the title belt in the absolutely worst way possible. And it's revealed that Heyman screwed up Lesnar's travel plans. So he wound up in Peoria or somewhere. It doesn't matter.
I love that you still that you had WWE replicate the finger poke of doom, which is just an awful idea. Yes. But the fact that we both had Heyman still turn, I love how we both kept that.
Because it's the worst part of the show.
And yeah, exactly. And out of everything else, we both have to continue keeping Heyman as a heel. Because, as you say, it was not a good part of the show. But yeah, I love that. And I would have loved to have seen WWE try to replicate some of WCW's worst things.
Yeah.
Just out of ego, we could.
Yeah, more well, it drove them out of business, but
right,
we got this locked. We know what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. So my next match, Victoria is your women's champion. Keep in mind. So,
yes. Was she the title? Did she hold the belt coming in, or was it Trish?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this match, you'll see why. But
okay.
You can.
Well, even if not, she won on the last Raw. It doesn't matter.
Right. So you have Victoria versus Jim Cornette for the new Intergender Championship belt, a la Andy Kaufman.
Yes, Cornette would hate that though. He would hate an intergender title and that he has to fight for it.
Yeah, and that's why it's great. Who doesn't want to see Jim Cornette face Victoria? I think that would be great. Jim Cornette has been in matches before.
Yes. Wrestled Paul Heyman.
Yeah, and I can't think of a worse way to transition the women's title out of being that than to make it an intergender championship belt held by Jim Cornette.
I only wish that would have happened so he could talk about it on his podcast now.
Right. Well, maybe he'll pick up this clip and talk about how bad it is.
Who knows? Maybe I'll write in and say, what would be your thoughts on this? And he would probably go off on a tangent calling us every name in the book.
I would love that.
Yes. That is a atrocious idea. The thing is I think Jim would try to figure out the best possible match that he could have with Victoria. I think Victoria would kick his ass. And he wrestled, you know what? I just thought something. He had matches against, I believe, Sunshine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Down, back in the day. So I think he has wrestled women before.
He would try to figure out a good match. But if Vince is calling the shots, he would have to do whatever Vince wanted.
Right. That would be the thing. Jim would try to think of something and be told no. But I believe, now that I think about it, I think he did have matches against Sunshine, I think. So... And maybe Baby Doll as well. I'd have to look into that. But he kind of feuded with both of those. So there you go. There's some precedent there. It's not as awful as you thought. But yes, still would be bad and still makes me laugh. So there you go. Next up, where am I at here? I'm at, you know what? I kept the triple threat elimination tag match.
Really?
I kept that. So we have Edge and Rey Mysterio as the champions because they've got to defend the belts, against Rick and David Flair and the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young.
Oh, so I thought you kept the teams.
No, I kept the match, but I changed the
You
team.
changed the teams. Rick and David Flair.
So David was in OVW at this time, and he would occasionally make appearances in WWE, usually alongside his dad. Moolah and Young were kind of past the point where they were showing up all the time, but they were still around. I think Moolah would actually win the women's belt the following year for her 80th birthday because Vince promised it to her or something. So, not really a reason why here. It's just, I don't have a storyline. It was just the worst two tag teams I could think of to throw against Edge and Mysterio. And I think the finish would come with Mae Young kissing Ric Flair, and that shocks him, and he gets rolled up from behind by Moolah. That is what I'm going to say. So Mae Young and Moolah are your new tag team champions.
Well, that's obviously the best way to go if you're going to make this really bad.
Yes.
But I like the idea of, you don't have to have a rhyme or reason, just to, two of the worst combination of people. You can't, I have one of those as well.
Okay, yeah. Like I'm trying most of my stuff, I'm trying to think of a storyline. Like, why do we have this?
Right.
This was just like, who are the two worst teams I could possibly put together that make sense? Moolah and Young paired, Rick and David paired. That could make sense. That would go against these guys. So,
absolutely.
There you go.
All right. Well, my fifth match, Leonard, this is a Survivor Series, so you got to have a standard Survivor Series elimination match.
I thought about it, did not use one, but I'm glad you did.
Absolutely. And, these are led by two team captains, which they've done that before. Team Captain Albert and Team Captain Rikishi, because those are the two guys you think of when you think of who's going to be your Survivor Series captain, right?
Of course. Why would I not think of them?
Team Albert is Bill DeMott, Christopher Nowinski, Doug Basham, Sean O'Hare, and Steven Richards.
Okay,
so they're going to be facing Team Rikishi of Tajiri, Scotty 2 Hotty, Rhino, D'Lo Brown, and Funaki. So
that is better than the other team.
Yeah. So, this is a 5-on-5 match, elimination style. It's going to be overly long. No one gives a crap about any of these guys.
Right. I think it should be at least 15 minutes before an elimination happens.
Yeah, it's like a 25, 30-minute match.
Yeah.
So, I just, what? The goal here was, in terms of trying to find logic to it, just to create the biggest mishmash of guys I could find and put them in a standard Survivor Series match, because that's got to be there. So,
right. You have Doug Basham. Why not Danny Basham?
So, I didn't see him on the roster.
He was probably there.
He might have been there, but when I was looking at the roster, all I saw was Doug Basham.
Okay, I mean Doug is fine. It makes actually less sense for there only to be one Basham. So
there you go.
That's why, yes, I like. But see, both those teams are bad, but yet there's still the heel face dynamic, and
yes,
Rikishi was still kind of with Scotty 2 Hotty, so there is some sense to the madness there.
So you mentioned the heel face dynamic. One of my ideas, I was trying to figure out, I forget the name, the name of this match. I swear it does have a certain name, where you're taking random guys and putting them in a tag match against each other, but it could be heels and faces on the team together.
You mean Battle Bowl?
Is that what I'm thinking of?
WCW used to do Battle Bowl, the Lethal Lottery. They would draw names out of a hat, and then they would become a tag team, and they would face whoever else got drawn out of the hat.
So that's what I initially thought of.
Yeah.
To do for
that's a horrible idea. It always was bad.
But then that kind of morphed into this. I was like, okay, I just want to put random guys together. Why not just do a standard Survivor Series match? So that's what I did.
Okay, I think that works to the point that you took every random lower card dude you could find. So good use of actual talent, unlike me, who I'm just grabbing the most random people I can find. So next up, I have the World Heavyweight Championship match, not going to be defended in the pods. It is Triple H, who's the champion, versus Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, God.
Real simple. They're having marital problems. and Steph challenges her man to a title match to prove that she is the one who wears the pants in the family. So Triple H does not want to hit Steph until Steph, I would say, would slap him, and then he would beat her with a pedigree in like 30 seconds. Although, of course, the worst case scenario would be she winning. Right. But I think just him knocking her out like that would make the most sense.
Well, this was the era where you had Vince facing his daughter in a match.
Yeah, she had wrestled family in the past, and
this one sounds logical to me, Leonard. Like this could actually have happened. I feel like at this.
Yes, and of course there was the scenario where Stephanie was, with Kurt Angle. I think that was in 2000. Yeah, and there was marital trouble. So every now and again, when they kind of ran out of things, they would give them marital trouble.
That's true.
So that could be part of that.
I like that, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
So my sixth match is, even though he was inactive, Leonard, you knew I was going to use him. Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Rico in a tables match.
I figured you were going to pull out Roddy Piper when you said that. I think you always use Roddy Piper.
I do in some of our rebooks. You're right, I do.
Yes.
But in this case,
Hogan versus Rico. As I told you, I love me some Rico. So
here's the storyline. There is a storyline. Hogan being an icon of the 80s. Rico was, I won the first season of American Gladiators. I should have been the icon of the 80s that you were.
Mm-hmm.
That is the feud there. Who the biggest icon of the 80s? And, I like you. I think you mentioned this earlier. I liked Rico a lot because, I thought that he was good at what he did. And, the fact is he does have that history on American Gladiators. I think I reviewed that for the website that we used to write for. But in any event, tables match, what a horrible way to use Hulk Hogan, who had a horrible back at this time. And, I can't think of Hogan's matches were already not great. But if you want to make them worse, put him in there with Rico in a tables match. So.
Right, there you go. I think you missed an opportunity. It probably should have been Joust.
See, I thought about something random like that.
Yeah, from American Gladiators, one of the American Gladiator games.
Right. Like just have an extended American Gladiators episode within the pay-per-view.
Yes. You know that they're doing a new American Gladiators.
I heard.
They're involved with. Camille's involved with it, and can't remember who else, but a few.
Wardlow from AEW.
Wardlow, yes. That was the other big name, I believe, that's involved with it. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out. And I believe Miz is hosting, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we're up to my main event, which is the Elimination Chamber. And I'm proud of this one. I'm really proud of this. So we have Jim Ross versus Eric Bischoff versus Brother Love versus Harvey Whippleman versus Al Wilson versus the Hot Lesbians.
Okay.
So from September, Eric Bischoff had the HLA or the Hot Lesbian action on Raw. So there was a lot of crap around this time. Katie Vick, the Hot Lesbians. So the Hot Lesbians were Sasha Bryant and Katana Baker. I had to look up their names so I would know who they were.
I'm amazed that you did.
I wanted to know their names. And so their count is one. They're together in one pod.
Okay.
And of course, Harvey Whippleman, also Downtown Bruno, was working in the back as a agent at this time. Brother Love is Bruce Pritchard, who was in the back at this time. Al Wilson, as I mentioned earlier, was Tori Wilson's dad. So here's what happened. So Eric Bischoff, as you mentioned, created the Elimination Chamber in storyline.
Right.
And was bragging on it and was just, this is the greatest thing ever. And so he's like, it doesn't matter who's in it. The attraction is the chamber itself. It doesn't matter who's in it. So I'm going to do a random draw to just pick anyone out of a hat who's going to be in this. So, of course, he was feuding with Stephanie McMahon, who's the GM on SmackDown, and Stephanie rigs the draw, so it's the worst draw possible.
Wow, that's a storyline that makes sense.
Yes, see, that's the thing. Even though we're trying to book bad, I'm trying to make things make sense.
I mean, it would be awful, but that makes sense.
It would be awful. So I think the Hot Lesbians have to win.
I agree.
I think they do have to win. I think they beat Eric Bischoff. That's who they get the win over, because that would be some, catharsis there.
Well, see, that makes too much sense. I would have them beat Al Wilson.
Al Wilson would probably let them.
Okay.
Like he would just lay there and let them pin them. So I mean, either of that would work.
That, you know what, and the fact that you made that, it's gutsy to make that your main event. too.
Yeah. Well, it's the chamber. I think that's because with yours, because this wasn't before they dropped it from the ceiling. They have to put it together, right?
True. Yeah.
So yeah, so the time you could have it already put together when the show started, which would be good. But then you would have to have time to take it apart. But anyway.
That's true.
So
Well,
yeah, so again, I feel like I cheat a little bit because I'm using as many non-wrestlers as I can. But I'm trying to make up
Survivor
for
Series
it.
pay-per-view.
But I'm trying to make up for it by making things make at least sense to some degree.
Absolutely. Well, my main event is Triple H with Ric Flair versus Bob Holly for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the reason is the storyline here is Bob Holly faced Triple H in his first WWE pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
Bob Holly is challenging Triple H, saying, I should have beaten back then. I'm challenging you now. I deserve to be the champion. I think Bruce Pritchard did the impression on his podcast. What if you give me the belt and I beat everybody? So that allegedly Bob Holly said. So yeah. Bob Holly at this time was being pushed a little bit. He had that feud with Brock Lesnar, so it makes sense. However, would you want this to be the match that everybody went home for? Bob Holly, who was never a fan favorite, versus Triple H, who everybody actually hated. So, yeah.
I think here's the thing. I think that might actually be a good match. I think Bob Holly. Again, you're right. Nobody would care about it, and you don't want to close the show on it. But Bob wasn't a bad wrestler. He had one of the sweetest drop kicks you'll ever see.
True.
And when motivated, and I think he would be motivated here, because I assume he's winning the belt, right?
I mean, I could make the match about 5 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yes, yeah. So there you go. So again, I don't think that is the worst in-ring match you could have came up with, but it is certainly a terrible main event.
Right. Well, that's all that I wanted.
That's what we were going for. The worst stuff we could come up with.
Absolutely. Well, let us know what you thought of our bad rebooks and if we could have done something worse. We always try to use the roster as it was then. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we fudge a little bit. Like I used Hogan, who was inactive. Leonard used a ton of people who were not wrestlers. So we always we bend it a little bit. We try to, go within the scope of what was happening at the time, though. So let us know what you thought of our cards. And please check out our other episodes as well. What's That Card, Segment Surgery, everything else that we do. And we are available wherever you listen to podcasts. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.